Hi there, I am going to share with you a curvy set and give you an insight into how I start kind of when I get a new stamp set and the dies, just so that I can go through a process with you and maybe share how I do it, and then look forward to hearing how maybe you do it slightly differently. So the first thing I generally do is start playing with the dies. So I've done some pre-cutting. So for example, seeing this die, what does that do? So I'll play and I can see that, oh, if we put it back to the right way, that it cuts straight on one side, and then the other side gives me that pattern, and then all I need to do is just in there. Then we have this die in the set. So what does that die do? Well, that creates this imprint part, and then it cuts out. So I've also cut the little leaves to cut out, kept the little leaves it cut out just to decide what I might want to do with that. And then the other, there's a spare leaf there, and then the other die in the curve has the holes. So again, I've cut one just to see. So top edge is just a straight curve, and then we have these little dots. So again, just pop out all those little dots in there so that I know exactly what those dies do. And then also I've stamped up, so I've selected 3 colours. So I've selected Pretty Peacock, Pear Pizzazz and Crumb Cake, and Very Vanilla. So essentially I've stamped the images, those out. There's also this sort of leaf shape, so I cut some of those out. Then we had the little bird. So what I did here was just to kind of play. I cut them out just on Very Vanilla, but then I also lightly blend brushed some of them, and then I tried also a darker. I think that's probably a little bit too dark, but just playing around with a set when you first get it means that you get an idea of what you might be able to do with it. So once I've cut some of those parts, essentially I've then cut some card bases in those complementary cards, because what this then enables me to do is make multiple cards and just play around. I thought this is the papers from Forever Greenery. So that has the Pretty Peacock. It also has the Pear Pizzazz. So I thought that would be quite interesting to sort of play with as well. So I've just picked out a few different things, and then essentially we can just play. So what I don't want to lose is those little leaves. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with them, but let's keep them. So then I've got a whole raft of pieces that I can then start thinking, oh, how do I want to create a card? How might I want to create a card? That piece is slightly narrower, so I'm going to stick that onto that one and trim that. I think it's going to be the best thing to do there. So essentially I've got a combination of sizes, and this just allows me to start playing. So what I might do with that one is take one of the sentiments that potentially doesn't quite follow the curve, so I might just put hello in that one in Pretty Peacock, and just do Pretty Peacock and Pear Pizzazz. With this one, I thought what might be quite interesting is, can we get that curve reflected in the card? So we could make that top or bottom. Actually, let's make that the bottom. We could put that bit of leaf there, and maybe even just pop a little bird there. Well, let's see if that, oh, actually that curves around quite nicely. So you can follow that curve top and bottom, but by choosing certain colourways, it then just means, so actually what I might do with that one, oh, see, this is what I go through. I have a little thought. How about what we might be able to do is create that as a banner, then put the sentiment on to, just wondering whether I've, so you could follow, oh look, we could follow that curve at the bottom so that the message goes like that, and then take one of our little birds, pop it under there. But what I might want to do on the background is, oh, we could just mount that onto a pretty peacock card, so you get the pretty peacock come through. So it's all about just get chopping, but if you stick with a colour kind of mix, then you can get all sorts of different combinations in the cards. So literally this is my way of kind of playing when I get a new stamp set. So, you know, we all do it differently. And if you've got a different way, I'd love to hear what that is. So in that instance, I think that pretty peacock would be smaller. Or what I did do was I cut that so we could put on a white card base, we could have a pretty peacock. And again, I've cut this really long because I might decide that I want lots of it, I might decide I want a little bit of it. So I might decide that I want to have that going over. I don't think that particularly works. Oh, but what we could do is we could add some of those, or we could put a heat embossed sentiment. And again, these are photopolymers, so there's a little bit of flexibility. So what I would tend to probably do is shape that slightly. It's got a little bit of flex in it, so actually that might be quite a nice way of doing it, using an embossing powder and creating a simple card. Or, you know, we could have just, oh no, that's upside down then, isn't it? But who says we can't have that curvature at the top with the sentiment at the bottom? So yeah, pick 2 or 3 colours and just play around, and you know, keeping these, I've got these little leaves that I can still use. So if you pick out your colourways, you can literally just play to your heart's content, and you can create dimension even using the same colourway. So if I decided I wanted this one to be a little bit more of the Pear Pizzazz, I can create that in the Pear Pizzazz. Just use one colour. Might want to maybe put that on just on a very vanilla background. But yeah, pick any 3 colours, because essentially what that allows you to do is just mix and match and play around. So you can play around with all the combinations. You might want not to have 2 on that one. We might decide that we want to actually create a multiple layer. We could add some ribbon. Oh, nice bit of find the end of your ribbon. Trim that. We could add some of that ribbon around the base of that card and maybe add some of the birds. So yeah, that's the process that I follow when I am playing with a new stamp set. So cutting the pieces, picking a limited colour choice, and just playing. And you'll come up with all sorts of different ideas. So I hope you find that helpful. I hope that makes you think maybe about how you might use a new stamp set, whether you've bought that in the retired lines, whether you've bought that in the new catalogues, whether you've got dies or not. If you've got punches, you can do a similar thing. Just start punching and just seeing what's happening. But I generally suggest in getting your stamps inky and actually seeing how they ink up. I do feel I need to put one of those in, so we could have a couple of those heading up that way, couldn't we? Yeah, so I'm going to carry on playing, but there's an insight into my thought process. So hope you found that useful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.